Hey, my name is Theo. I'm seriously obsessed with thinking about money waste. If you're struggling because of unnecessary spending, hit the subscribe button, and if this video helps, please give it a like too. You wake up, check your phone, open your banking app with that familiar mix of curiosity and dread. The number stares back at you, lower than expected. Again. You scroll through the transactions, searching for the smoking gun. The big purchase that explains everything. The moment you lost control. But there's nothing. No shopping sprees. No emergency expenses. No moments of weakness where you bought something ridiculous. Just normal life. Coffee here. Lunch there. A subscription renewal. Gas for the car. Groceries that somehow cost more than they should. All reasonable. All necessary. All completely ordinary. So why does your account look like you've been hemorrhaging money? You close the app. Tell yourself you'll figure it out later. Maybe you miscalculated. Maybe next month will be different. But deep down, you know something is wrong. This isn't the first time. It's becoming a pattern. A quiet, persistent erosion that you can't quite explain. Your friends are experiencing it too. They joke about being broke despite having decent jobs. They shake their heads at grocery receipts and restaurant bills. They talk about money disappearing faster than it used to. Everyone assumes this is normal now. The cost of living. Inflation. The way things are. But what if it's not inflation stealing your future? What if it's something more insidious? What if you're bleeding money through 1,000 tiny cuts? Each one too small to notice, but together they're draining your life. Think about it. When was the last time you bought something and felt like you got a good deal? When did you last walk away from a purchase feeling satisfied with the value? It doesn't happen anymore, does it? Instead, there's this nagging feeling. This sense that everything costs more than it should. That you're being charged premium prices for things that used to be cheap. But you pay anyway. Because what choice do you have? You need to eat. You need to get places. You need to live. And somehow, living has become expensive in ways it never was before. The leak is invisible because it's everywhere. It's not one big hole in your bucket. It's 1,000 microscopic punctures that together drain everything you pour in. You work harder, earn more, get that promotion, increase your income. But somehow you never feel ahead. The money comes in and the money goes out, and at the end of the month, you're left wondering where it all went. This is the invisible leak, and it's destroying your future $1 at a time. The companies know. They've studied you. They understand exactly how much you'll pay before you start to question it. They know how to keep their prices just below your breaking point. They've weaponized your convenience, monetized your habits, turned your daily routine into their profit center, and you're helping them do it. Every time you don't question the price, every time you say, it's just a few dollars more, every time you choose convenience over value, you're funding your own financial decline. The leak isn't accidental, it's engineered. But here's what they don't want you to realize. You can stop it, not with budgeting apps or spending trackers or financial gurus selling you courses, but with awareness, with recognition, with the simple, powerful realization that normal life has become a carefully designed trap. And the first step to escaping a trap is recognizing you're in one. Your money isn't disappearing into thin air. It's being systematically extracted by businesses that have learned to make extraction feel normal. They've convinced you that expensive is inevitable, that high prices are just the way things are now, that you have no choice but to pay what they're asking. But you do have a choice. The question is, are you ready to see the leak for what it really is? Let's talk about what happened to your money. Remember when fast food was actually fast and cheap? When you could get a decent meal for $3 and change? When value menu meant value? Those days are gone, but somehow you're still buying the same burger. From the same place, at twice the price. They didn't steal your money. They didn't hack your account or pick your pocket. They did something much more clever. They slowly, quietly raised the price of being normal. Think about your last restaurant experience. Not fine dining, just a regular place. The kind of restaurant you used to visit without thinking about cost. The bill comes. You look at it. Feel that familiar sting. When did eating out become so expensive? But you pay it. Because what's the alternative? Cook every meal, never go out, become one of those people who obsesses over every dollar? So you hand over the card and pretend it doesn't hurt. This is the trap. They've made reasonable living unreasonably expensive, then convinced you that questioning their prices makes you cheap. Coffee shops are charging $5 for drinks that cost them 50 cents to make. and you're buying them because caffeine isn't optional in your world. Subscription services are multiplying like bacteria. $5 here, $10 there, $15 for that premium tier you need. Death by 1,000 monthly charges. Your car payment has grown from a few $100s to an amount that would have covered rent a generation ago. But everyone has car payments now. It's normal. Your phone bill includes services you never asked for, fees you don't understand, and a monthly cost that keeps creeping upward. But you need connectivity. You need the internet. You need to function in modern society. They've turned necessities into profit centers and made you feel grateful for the privilege. Here's the truth they don't want you to understand. You are paying premium prices for products and services that used to be commodities. Fast food isn't fast anymore. It's not particularly good. But it costs as much as sit-down restaurants used to. Restaurants aren't providing better service or higher quality food. But they've doubled their prices and made you feel like that's normal. Coffee shops aren't serving better coffee. They're serving the same beans with fancier names and charging luxury prices. The quality hasn't improved. The experience hasn't gotten better. The value proposition has completely collapsed. But the prices keep climbing, and you keep paying because they've weaponized your need to feel normal. They know you won't stop eating out entirely. You won't give up coffee. You won't disconnect from the world or walk everywhere or grow your own food. So they exploit your desire to live a reasonable life by making reasonable living unreasonably expensive. The worst part? They've convinced you this is progress. Inflation, they say. Supply chain issues. Rising costs. Meanwhile, their profit margins are higher than ever. Their executives are making record bonuses. Their shareholders are celebrating record returns. Your increasing expenses are their increasing profits. And they've made you feel like questioning this dynamic makes you unreasonable. But here's what's actually unreasonable: paying luxury prices for ordinary experiences. Working harder to afford the same lifestyle your parents had for half the cost. Accepting that being normal means being broke. The companies have trained you to think small price increases don't matter. That convenience is worth any cost. That your time is too valuable to shop around or cook at home or question what you're paying. They've turned you into a cash machine that operates on autopilot. Every routine purchase, every habitual expense, every time you choose familiar over affordable, you're not living your life. You're funding theirs. And the beautiful part of their strategy? You're doing it voluntarily. No one is forcing you to buy expensive coffee. No one is making you eat out 3 times a week. No one is demanding you upgrade your phone every 2 years. You're choosing these things because they've made the alternative feel unacceptable. They've made frugality feel like failure, made questioning prices feel like pettiness, made choosing value over convenience feel like you're missing out on life. But what you're actually missing out on is wealth, financial freedom, options, security, the ability to say no to jobs you hate, to take risks, to retire someday, all sacrificed on the altar of convenient, overpriced normal. The price of normal has become the price of your future, and they're counting on you never noticing the trade you've made. Here's where it gets ugly. You're not just overpaying. You're overpaying for garbage. That expensive coffee, burnt beans, sugary syrup, and marketing. That restaurant meal, reheated frozen food with a 400% markup. That new car, planned obsolescence wrapped in sheet metal and financed at 7% interest. The deal has fundamentally changed and nobody told you. Your parents bought things that lasted, cars that ran for decades, appliances that worked for generations. Clothes that could be repaired. You're buying products designed to fail and paying more for the privilege. The companies discovered something beautiful. Why sell someone something once when you can sell them something multiple times? So they engineered failure into everything. Your phone slows down after 2 years. Your printer stops working the day after the warranty expires. Your clothes fall apart after 6 months. And instead of outrage, they've convinced you this is innovation. Upgrades, they call it. New features. Improved design. What they mean is, we made your old stuff obsolete so you'll buy our new stuff. But here's the kicker. The new stuff isn't better. It's just newer. Your grandfather's tools still work. Your new tools break if you look at them wrong. Your grandmother's refrigerator ran for 50 years. Yours will need replacing in 10. Your parents' car could be fixed by any mechanic. Your car requires specialized computers and proprietary parts that cost more than the car is worth. This isn't progress. This is planned theft. They're stealing your money in slow motion by selling you products designed to extract maximum revenue over their lifetime. Not your lifetime. Their revenue lifetime? Think about your last major purchase. A car, a computer, a phone, an appliance. How long do you expect it to last? How much will you spend maintaining it? How many times will you replace it over the next 20 years? Now calculate the real cost, not the purchase price. The total cost of ownership. It's staggering, isn't it? You're not buying products. You're buying subscriptions to companies' revenue streams. And they've made this feel normal. That's just how things are now, people say. Nothing lasts forever. But that's not natural law. That's business strategy. Companies deliberately choose cheaper materials, simpler designs, planned obsolescence, and proprietary components because it maximizes long-term profit. Your repeated purchases are their recurring revenue. Your frustration with broken products is their job security. Your acceptance of disposable goods is their retirement plan. But the death of value goes deeper than product quality. They've killed the concept of value itself. You no longer ask, is this worth what they're charging? You ask, can I afford the monthly payment? You've been trained to think in terms of cash flow rather than value exchange, which is exactly what they want, because monthly payments hide the true cost. That car isn't $30,000. It's $400 a month for 7 years, plus interest, plus insurance, plus maintenance, plus depreciation. The real cost? Closer to $60,000. But they don't advertise the real cost. They advertise the monthly payment. That phone isn't $200. It's only $50 a month for 2 years, plus the plan, plus the insurance, plus the accessories, plus the upgrades. The real cost? Over $5,000 for 2 years of connectivity. But you don't see it that way. You see the monthly payment, and monthly payments feel manageable, even when they're slowly strangling your financial future. This is how they've normalized paying premium prices for inferior products. They've broken the direct connection between price and value. Instead of asking, is this worth waiting $200? You ask, can I handle $50 a month? And $50 a month always feels reasonable, even when it's attached to something worthless. They've financialized your entire life. Your car is financed. Your phone is financed. Your furniture is financed. Your education is financed. Everything is a monthly payment. Nothing is actually owned. You're not a customer anymore. You're a revenue stream. And revenue streams don't question value. They just keep flowing. The companies have successfully separated purchase decisions from value assessments. You buy things because you can make the payments, not because they're worth the price. You upgrade because the new monthly payment isn't much higher, not because you need the new features. You replace because the old thing broke, not because you made a conscious choice to exchange value. This is how they've turned you into a perpetual customer, always paying, never owning, never satisfied, always one payment away from the next purchase. And the beautiful part of their strategy? You think this is freedom? The freedom to have nice things now. The freedom to upgrade whenever you want. The freedom to keep up with the latest trends. But what you actually have is a collection of depreciating assets, financed at interest rates that ensure you'll never break even. You have the appearance of wealth and the reality of debt. You have access to products and surrender of ownership. You have monthly payments and zero equity. This isn't freedom. This is financial servitude. And they're counting on you never adding up the real cost. Now we need to talk about why you really buy things. It's not about the product. It's never about the product. It's about the story you tell yourself, and the story you think others are hearing. That BMW in your driveway? You didn't buy transportation. You bought the idea that successful people drive luxury cars. That designer purse? You didn't buy a bag. You bought the belief that expensive taste equals good taste. That latest iPhone? You didn't buy a communication device. You bought social proof that you're keeping up. Every purchase is a statement. Every brand is an identity. Every price tag is a social signal. And the companies know this. They're not selling you products. They're selling you membership in exclusive clubs. The club of people who can afford luxury. The club of people who have taste. The club of people who matter. But here's the secret they don't want you to discover: the club is imaginary. Nobody cares about your car as much as you think they do. Nobody notices your clothes the way you imagine they do. Nobody judges your phone or your shoes or your watch with the intensity you assume they do. You're paying premium prices to impress people who aren't paying attention. But the illusion is powerful because it feels real. When you drive that luxury car, you feel successful. When you carry that designer bag, you feel sophisticated. When you wear that expensive watch, you feel important. The problem is, feelings aren't facts. That car isn't making you successful. It's making you poor. That bag isn't making you sophisticated. It's making you financially vulnerable. That watch isn't making you important. It's making you a prisoner to monthly payments. But the companies have spent billions studying your psychology. They understand exactly which buttons to push. Status anxiety, social pressure, fear of missing out, desire for belonging. They've weaponized your deepest insecurities and turned them into profit centers. Every advertisement is a carefully crafted message designed to make you feel incomplete without their product. Successful people drive this car. Confident women carry this bag. Smart people use this technology. The implication is clear: if you don't have their product, you're not successful, confident, or smart. And you'll pay almost anything to avoid those feelings. This is why logical people make illogical financial decisions. You know the car payment is too high. You understand the purse is overpriced. You realize the phone upgrade is unnecessary. But you buy them anyway, because the financial cost feels smaller than the social cost of being seen as someone who can't afford nice things. So you choose debt over judgment, payments over peace, status over security. And the companies celebrate every time you make that choice. Because you're not buying their product once. You're buying into their system permanently. Once you start playing the status game, you can never stop. There's always a newer model, a better brand, a more expensive option. The goalposts keep moving. The requirements keep escalating. The cost keeps climbing. And you keep paying because stopping feels like losing. But here's what actually happens when you chase status through consumption. You work harder to afford things that don't make you happy. You stress about payments for products that lose value the moment you buy them. You sacrifice financial security for social signaling that nobody receives. You trade your future for temporary feelings about your present. Think about your most expensive status purchase, the one you bought to feel successful or impressive or worthy. How long did that feeling last? A week, a month, a year? And how long will you be paying for it? This is the cruelest part of the status illusion. The emotional payoff is temporary, but the financial commitment is permanent. You get a brief hit of satisfaction followed by years of payments. You feel successful for a moment, then spend years working to afford that moment. The companies have turned your desire for respect into their revenue stream. They've monetized your need to belong, capitalized on your fear of judgment, profitized your quest for identity, and they've convinced you that this is normal. That successful people buy expensive things, that quality costs money, that you get what you pay for. But expensive doesn't mean quality anymore. Brand names don't guarantee superior products. High prices don't reflect actual value. They reflect marketing budgets, celebrity endorsements, artificial scarcity, psychological manipulation. You're paying premium prices for stories, narratives, feelings, fantasies, none of which survive contact with your bank account. The companies have successfully convinced you that your worth as a person is reflected in your ability to afford their products. That poverty is shameful. That frugality is embarrassing. That choosing value over prestige means you've given up on life. But what if they have it backwards? What if the people buying expensive things to look successful are actually demonstrating their financial insecurity? What if real confidence comes from not needing external validation? What if true success means having the freedom to say no to overpriced status symbols? The status game is rigged. The house always wins. The players always lose. Because the game never ends. There's always someone with a more expensive car, a bigger house, better clothes, newer technology. You can't win by outspending everyone else. But you can lose everything trying. The only winning move is not to play. But that requires something they've tried to take from you. The confidence to be yourself without their products. The courage to define success by your terms, not their marketing. The wisdom to recognize that your value as a person has nothing to do with your ability to afford their prices. And the strength to walk away from the table while you still have money left. Let's talk about what happens when you can't afford the life you think you need. You don't stop buying it. You start financing it. Credit cards, personal loans, payment plans, buy now, pay later. The modern economy runs on deferred payment, future money for present consumption, and you've become an expert at borrowing against tomorrow to pay for today. But here's what they don't tell you about debt. It's not just money with interest attached. It's freedom with shackles attached. Every dollar you owe is a dollar you can't use for anything else. Every monthly payment is a monthly limitation on your choices. Every balance is a chain connecting your present decisions to your future constraints. Let's do some math that will make you uncomfortable. Your credit card balance, let's say $8,000. Minimum payment, $200. Interest rate, 22%. If you pay only the minimum, you'll be making payments for over 5 years. You'll pay more than $4,000 in interest. That $8,000 purchase actually costs $12,000. But it gets worse. That $200 monthly payment isn't just $200. It's $200 you can't invest. $200 you can't save. $200 you can't use for emergencies. Over 5 years, if you invested that $200 monthly at 7% return, you'd have over $14,000. So your $8,000 purchase doesn't just cost $12,000. It costs $26,000 in opportunity cost. You paid $26,000 for $8,000 worth of stuff. And this is just one credit card. Most people have 3 or 4. Plus a car loan, plus student loans, plus a mortgage. The average American household carries over $6,000 in credit card debt. The average car payment is over $500. The average student loan payment is over $300. That's $1,000 a month in payments before you buy a single thing. $12,000 a year just to service debt. $240,000 over 20 years. $250,000 that could have been invested, saved, or used to build actual wealth. Instead, it's interest payments to companies that sold you things you probably don't remember buying. But the debt spiral gets worse as you go deeper. Because debt creates stress. Stress creates poor decisions. Poor decisions create more debt. You're stressed about money, so you treat yourself to feel better. But you can't afford the treat, so you put it on credit. Now you're more stressed because you have more debt. So you need another treat. The cycle accelerates. Companies have studied this psychology. They know that financial stress makes people more likely to buy things that promise relief. So they market specifically to stressed, indebted people. Payday loans to people who can't make it to payday. Cash advances to people who are already overextended. Consolidation loans that combine multiple debts into one larger debt. They've turned financial desperation into a profit center. The more trouble you're in, the more money they make. This is why debt is so dangerous. It doesn't just cost money. It makes you vulnerable to exploitation. When you need money now and can't qualify for reasonable rates, you accept unreasonable rates. When you're behind on payments and facing penalties, you take any deal offered. When you're desperate to consolidate and simplify, you agree to terms you'd never accept otherwise. Companies prey on desperation. They market to vulnerability. They profit from your panic. And once you're caught in their web, escape becomes nearly impossible. Because debt creates its own momentum. You need to work more to make the payments. Working more creates stress and exhaustion. Stress and exhaustion lead to convenience purchases and poor financial decisions. You're too tired to cook, so you order expensive delivery food. You're too stressed to comparison shop, so you buy the first thing you see. You're too overwhelmed to negotiate, so you accept whatever terms are offered. Debt makes you a worse financial decision maker precisely when you need to be better at making financial decisions. It's a trap that feeds on itself, and the companies have designed it that way. They don't want you to pay off your debt quickly. They want you to make minimum payments forever. They don't want you to break free. They want you to stay trapped, generating interest payments for decades. Your financial bondage is their financial freedom. But here's the part that should make you angry. Most of the debt is from things you didn't need. Restaurants, entertainment, clothes, gadgets, upgrades. Things you bought because they were convenient, or on sale, or because everyone else had them. You're paying interest on impulse purchases you made months or years ago. You're financing a lifestyle you can't afford with money you don't have. And now, you're working extra hours to make payments on things you probably don't even use anymore. That's the cruelest irony of consumer debt. You end up working more to pay for things that were supposed to make your life easier. You're a slave to purchases you made when you felt free. The debt spiral doesn't just steal your money. It steals your time, your energy, your options, your peace of mind. It turns you into an indentured servant to your past decisions. And the only way out is to stop making the same decisions. Stop borrowing money for things that lose value. Stop financing convenience. Stop putting lifestyle expenses on credit cards. Stop believing that monthly payments make expensive things affordable. They don't. They make affordable things expensive, and they turn temporary purchases into permanent obligations. The debt spiral is real. The companies profit from it. And it will destroy your financial future if you don't break free. The good news? You can break free. But it requires admitting that the life you've been financing isn't a life you can actually afford, and choosing freedom over appearances, security over convenience, your future over their profits. Here's the hardest truth you'll face. You're not overspending because you're reckless. You're overspending because you're tired. Tired of cooking, tired of planning, tired of comparing prices, tired of saying no, tired of the mental effort it takes to live within your means. So you buy convenience instead. And convenience is expensive. Those meal delivery services? You're paying $15 for a $3 meal because cooking feels impossible after a 12-hour workday. That expensive coffee? You're paying $5 for 50 cents worth of caffeine because making coffee at home requires planning you don't have energy for. That Uber ride? You're paying $20 for a $3 bus trip because figuring out public transportation feels overwhelming. You're not living beyond your means. You're paying premium prices to avoid the effort of living within your means. And the companies have noticed. They've built entire business models around your exhaustion. We'll handle it, they say. You shouldn't have to worry about this. You deserve convenience. But convenience is a trap disguised as a service. Every time you choose convenience over value, you make your financial situation worse, which makes you more stressed, which makes you more tired, which makes you choose convenience more often. The cycle accelerates until convenience becomes necessity, until you literally cannot imagine living any other way. You can't imagine cooking every meal because you've forgotten how. You can't imagine walking places because you've become dependent on rides. You can't imagine entertainment that doesn't cost money because you've lost the ability to find joy in simple pleasures. Comfort has become a drug. And like any drug, the dosage keeps increasing. What felt like a luxury last year feels essential this year. What felt expensive last month feels reasonable this month. What used to be special occasions become regular occurrences. The companies understand addiction psychology. They know that comfort purchases create dependencies. Once you start paying for convenience, stopping feels like deprivation. Once you're used to restaurants, cooking feels like punishment. Once you're used to delivery, going to stores feels like hardship. Once you're used to upgrades, keeping things longer feels like failure. They've made frugality feel like suffering. But here's what they don't want you to realize. The opposite is true. Overspending is suffering. Debt is suffering. Financial stress is suffering. Working extra hours to afford convenience is suffering. Staying in jobs you hate because you need the money to maintain your lifestyle is suffering. Never having savings because every dollar goes to maintaining comfort is suffering. The companies have convinced you that spending money reduces suffering. But spending money beyond your means creates suffering. And once you're suffering financially, you become even more vulnerable to comfort purchases. You're stressed about money, so you treat yourself to feel better. You're working longer hours, so you deserve expensive convenience. You're tired from financial pressure, so you choose expensive, easy over cheap effort. It's a perfectly designed trap. Your financial problems create emotional needs that expensive solutions promise to solve. But expensive solutions create more financial problems, which create bigger emotional needs, which require more expensive solutions. The trap tightens with every comfort purchase, and the companies profit from every turn of the cycle. They're not just selling you products. They're selling you relief from the stress that buying their products creates. Think about your last week of purchases. How many were truly necessary? How many were convenience? How many were comfort? That expensive lunch because you didn't pack food? That premium gas because the cheap station was crowded? That delivery fee because going to pick up the order felt like too much effort? That subscription service because canceling and finding alternatives felt overwhelming? Death by 1,000 small surrenders, each one reasonable in isolation, collectively devastating to your financial future. Because comfort purchases aren't just about money. They're about capacity. Every time you pay extra for convenience, you reduce your capacity to handle inconvenience. Every time you choose expensive, easy over cheap effort, you become less capable of effort. Every time you prioritize comfort over economy, you become more dependent on expensive comfort. You're not just spending money. You're spending resilience, self-reliance, financial flexibility. You're trading your ability to live cheaply for the temporary feeling of living well. But living well and feeling comfortable aren't the same thing. Living well means having options, security, freedom from financial stress. Feeling comfortable means avoiding effort in the short term at the expense of security in the long term. The companies have convinced you these are the same thing, but they're opposites. True comfort comes from knowing you can afford your lifestyle without stress. False comfort comes from lifestyle inflation funded by debt and financial anxiety. True ease comes from systems and habits that make frugal living effortless. False ease comes from paying extra to avoid the effort of living within your means. The trap of comfort is that it promises to make your life easier while actually making it harder. financially harder, emotionally harder, practically harder. Because when you depend on expensive convenience, you become vulnerable to any disruption in your ability to pay for it. Job loss, health problems, economic downturns. Suddenly, the comfort you depend on becomes unaffordable. But you've lost the skills and systems needed to live without it. You're trapped in an expensive lifestyle you can't maintain and can't escape. This is why the companies want you comfortable. Comfortable customers are captive customers. They can't leave. They can't reduce spending. They can't adapt to changing circumstances. They can only keep paying, hoping their income keeps pace with their expenses. But it rarely does. Expenses grow faster than income because companies are constantly finding new ways to monetize your desire for comfort. New services, new fees, new conveniences, new necessities. The comfort trap never stops tightening, unless you recognize it for what it is and decide to break free. This is the moment of truth. You can't unknow what you know now. You can't unsee the invisible leak draining your future. You can't unfeel the weight of payments for things that aren't worth what you paid. You can't ignore the trap you've been caught in. So here's your choice. You can look wealthy or you can be wealthy, but you can't do both. Looking wealthy means driving the right car, wearing the right clothes, living in the right neighborhood, eating at the right restaurants. Looking wealthy means keeping up appearances no matter what it costs. Looking wealthy means choosing image over reality, status over security, perception over truth. Being wealthy means having money instead of spending it. Being wealthy means owning assets that appreciate instead of payments that depreciate. Being wealthy means having options instead of obligations. The choice seems obvious when stated this way, but it's the hardest choice you'll ever make, because looking wealthy gives you immediate social rewards. People respect the car you drive. They admire the clothes you wear. They assume you're successful based on the things you own. Being wealthy gives you no immediate social recognition. The money you don't spend is invisible. The investments you make are boring. The security you build is silent. Nobody applauds your savings account. Nobody admires your low expenses. Nobody respects your choice to drive an old car or live in a modest home or shop at discount stores. This is why most people choose to look wealthy instead of being wealthy. The rewards for looking wealthy are immediate and social. The rewards for being wealthy are delayed and personal. And human psychology strongly favors immediate, social rewards over delayed, personal ones. The companies understand this. They've built their entire business model around it. They sell you the immediate social reward of looking successful while quietly extracting the long-term financial foundation of actually being successful. You get the car that makes you look prosperous while the payments make you poor. You get the clothes that make you appear sophisticated while the credit card debt makes you vulnerable. You get the lifestyle that makes you seem successful while the financial stress makes you miserable. This is the devil's bargain of consumer culture. You can feel successful now or be successful later, but not both. And most people choose now. They choose the immediate gratification of expensive purchases over the delayed gratification of financial security. They choose the dopamine hit of acquisition over the peace of mind that comes from having money. They choose to impress strangers over their own long-term interests. But here's what happens when you consistently choose to look wealthy instead of being wealthy. You work harder but never get ahead. You earn more but never feel secure. You own more but never feel satisfied. You appear successful but never feel free. Because appearances require constant maintenance. Status symbols need regular upgrades. Image demands continuous investment. You can never stop spending because stopping spending means losing status. You're trapped in a performance that never ends. But actual wealth gives you the ultimate luxury, the ability to stop performing. When you have money, you don't need to prove you have money. When you're actually successful, you don't need to look successful. When you're financially secure, you don't need external validation. You can drive any car, wear any clothes, live anywhere, eat anywhere, because your worth isn't tied to your purchases. Your security isn't dependent on your image. Your success isn't measured by your ability to afford expensive things. This is the fork in the road: performance or peace, image or freedom, appearing wealthy or being wealthy. And you have to choose. Because the path that leads to looking wealthy leads away from being wealthy. Every dollar spent on status is a dollar not invested in security. Every payment made for image is a payment not available for opportunity. Every choice to maintain appearances is a choice to sacrifice substance. The people who look the most successful are often the least secure. The people who appear to have the most money often have the least money. The people who seem the most confident about their financial situation are often the most anxious about money. Because looking wealthy is expensive and exhausting. Being wealthy is simple and sustainable. Looking wealthy requires constant input, new purchases, regular upgrades, continuous spending. Being wealthy requires discipline, consistent saving, patient investing, smart spending. Looking wealthy makes you dependent on your income. If the income stops, the image collapses. Being wealthy makes you independent. Your money works for you instead of you working for your money. Here's the most important thing to understand about this choice. It's not a one-time decision. It's a daily decision. Every purchase is a vote for the person you want to become. Every time you choose expensive over affordable, you vote for looking wealthy. Every time you choose status over value, you vote for appearing successful. Every time you choose convenience over economy, you vote for maintaining image. But every time you choose value over status, you vote for building wealth. Every time you choose affordable over expensive, you vote for financial freedom. Every time you choose substance over appearance, you vote for actual security. The fork in the road isn't a dramatic moment. It's a series of small decisions that compound over time. And the beautiful thing about small decisions is that you can start making different ones right now. You don't have to transform your entire life overnight. You just have to start choosing wealth over the appearance of wealth. Security over status. Freedom over performance. One decision at a time. The question is, who do you want to be? Someone who looks successful or someone who is successful? Someone who impresses others or someone who secures their own future? Someone who performs wealth or someone who builds wealth? The choice is yours, but you can't wait forever to make it. Every day you delay is another day of choosing appearance over substance. Another day of building someone else's wealth instead of your own. Another day on the wrong side of the fork. 5 years from now, there will be two types of people. Those who read this and changed nothing, and those who read this and changed everything. The first group will still be complaining about money, still wondering where it all goes, still living paycheck to paycheck despite earning more than ever. They'll still be buying expensive coffee and expensive food and expensive convenience. They'll still be making car payments and credit card payments and subscription payments. They'll still be choosing comfort over wealth, image over security, performance over peace. And they'll still be wondering why they work so hard but never get ahead. The second group will have quietly disappeared from the status game. They'll drive older cars that run perfectly. They'll live in modest homes that appreciate steadily. They'll cook meals that cost dollars instead of paying for meals that cost tens of dollars. They'll wear clothes that last instead of clothes that impress. And nobody will notice. Nobody will applaud. Nobody will recognize their discipline. But they'll have something the first group desperately wants: money. Real money, invested money, growing money, working money. Money that buys options instead of obligations. Money that creates security instead of anxiety. Money that provides freedom instead of requiring performance. They won't look wealthy. They'll be wealthy. And the difference will compound exponentially. While the first group is making payments, the second group is earning returns. While the first group is paying interest, the second group is collecting interest. While the first group is working to afford their lifestyle, the second group's money is working for them. The gap widens every month, every year, every decade, until it becomes unbridgeable. The first group will retire poor despite earning millions over their careers. The second group will retire wealthy despite earning less and spending much less. Because money isn't about how much you make. It's about how much you keep. And keeping money requires saying no to almost everything the first group says yes to. This is why wealth is silent. The wealthy don't announce their net worth. They don't display their bank statements. They don't perform their financial success. They just accumulate. Quietly, steadily, relentlessly. While everyone else is playing the spending game, they're playing the accumulation game. Different rules, different goals, different outcomes. The spending game is public. Everyone can see your car, your clothes, your house, your lifestyle. The accumulation game is private. Nobody sees your investments, your savings rate, your net worth, your growing freedom. This is why most people choose the spending game. It offers immediate social feedback. The accumulation game offers delayed personal satisfaction. But the delayed satisfaction is life-changing. While others are stressed about monthly payments, you're calm about your financial future. While others are trapped in jobs they hate, you have the option to leave. While others are worried about retirement, you're planning early retirement. While others are dependent on their next paycheck, you're independent of any paycheck. This independence doesn't happen overnight. It happens gradually, through thousands of small decisions. Every time you choose the cheaper option, you keep the difference. Every time you avoid a payment, you avoid an obligation. Every time you resist an upgrade, you preserve your capital. Every time you say no to spending, you say yes to wealth. The decisions seem small in isolation, but they compound dramatically over time. The $5 coffee becomes around $8.25 per year. Invested over 20 years at 7%, it becomes $7,500. The $500 car payment becomes $6,000 per year. Invested over 20 years, it becomes $246,000. The $100 monthly subscriptions become $200 per year. Invested over 20 years, they become $49,000. These aren't just savings. They're life-changing amounts of money. Money that buys freedom instead of stuff. Security instead of convenience. Options instead of obligations. But only if you choose accumulation over spending. Only if you resist the cultural pressure to look successful. Only if you prioritize being wealthy over appearing wealthy. The companies will try to stop you. They'll advertise new products, offer easier payments, create social pressure to upgrade. They'll make frugality feel like deprivation and wealth building feel like missing out. But you'll know better. You'll know that every dollar they want you to spend is a dollar they want to steal from your future. You'll know that every convenience they sell comes with a hidden cost. You'll know that every status symbol they market is a trap designed to keep you poor. And you'll choose differently, not because you're cheap, not because you don't appreciate nice things, but because you understand the true cost of expensive things. And you value your financial freedom more than their profits. This is how you become one of the silent winners. Not through dramatic gestures or perfect budgets or extreme frugality, but through consistent choices, small disciplines, quiet resistance to cultural pressure. By refusing to trade your future for temporary pleasures. By choosing substance over appearance. By building wealth instead of spending income. The path is simple. The execution is challenging. The results are extraordinary. Most people will choose the easy path of spending and struggle. A few will choose the harder path of discipline and flourish. Money doesn't disappear into thin air. It's given away to companies that have mastered the art of making you want things you don't need, at prices you can't afford, with money you don't have. Every transaction is a choice. Every purchase is a vote. Every payment is a decision about the kind of life you want to build. The question isn't whether you can afford expensive things. The question is whether expensive things are worth what they cost you, not just in money, but in freedom, in security, in peace of mind, in the ability to say no to things you don't want to do. The silent winners have answered that question, and they've chosen wealth over the appearance of wealth, security over status, freedom over performance. They've stopped feeding the invisible leak and started building visible wealth. The choice is yours, but choose quickly. Every day you delay is another day on the wrong side of compound interest. Another day of building someone else's wealth instead of your own. Another day closer to working until you die instead of retiring when you choose. The fork in the road is behind you. The question is, which path did you take?